All right, this is Pastor Dustin Neely of Crossing Church in Louisville, Kentucky, and I'm continuing my series with the questions I purposely did not answer in my recent sermon from Genesis chapter 1, verses 1 to 25. And the one I want to tackle now is, what about these days of creation? Are they literally 6 24-hour days? I'll go ahead and put my cards on the table and say yes, and I'll explain to you why in just a little bit. But let's go ahead and talk about why some people would say no. Because if you just read the Bible on the surface, you would look at this and you go, why in the world would people not think that the word day means day? Well, there is some textual evidence for that. I personally am not compelled by it, but I want to try to do justice for it so that you will understand it. The people who would argue for a metaphorical view of these 6 days point out that the word yom, which is the Hebrew word for day, often refers to an extended period of time that is more than a literal 24-hour day. So you got to recognize that some people hold that view, that the word can be used in a different way. But here's why I think it's not. And just to let you know where this content is coming from, as I mentioned in the last video, this is from my buddy Mark Driscoll's book, Doctrine. And this is the case that he lays out, and it's the case that I find convincing. So here we go. Here's why I think day means day. First, each day is numbered so that there is a succession of days. Okay? So it's laid out, day 1, day 2, day 3. And this is particularly compelling as well, that every day is described as having a morning and an evening. And that's also the common vernacular of that day and this day. People still talk about what they do in the morning. They talk about what they do in the evening. And there's plenty of biblical texts that talk about that. Also, and I find this extremely compelling as well, is that when we get the concept of the Sabbath in the Old Testament, it is based on the fact that God worked for 6 days in creation and then He rested on the 7th day. So this notion of kind of the metaphorical idea then being used as a reason why we should work 6 literal calendar days and then take a day off to rest, it just doesn't seem compelling to me. So that's why I stand where I stand, and that's why I think you should stand there too. However, if you don't, we love you. It's an open-handed issue, but I do think that it's important, and I think we got to wrestle with it, and we got to stand somewhere.